You know, he always knew his worth. He knew he was a brilliant writer. And even when Answered Prayers came out and everybody kind of like cockroaches fled, he said, time will tell. And those people will cut their own throats with their own tongues, which they did.
This is what a writer does. This is bloody and true and real.
The story of the Swans, Truman Capote's socialite-filled friend group, and its implosion in the 70s, thanks to the author turning the women's real lives into a thinly veiled work of fiction.
Your story cast its spell and took away everything I had!
Is set to play out in the second season of Ryan Murphy's Feud.
You have to pull this. These are portraits of friends who have shared their deepest secrets with you. Why would you want to hurt them?
But E.T. broke it all down first with the swan who stood by him, Joanne Carson.
When Truman got into trouble and he had some real tough times, I was able to take him under my wing and become his champion. So kind of what goes around comes around, but that friendship was solid.
Molly Ringwald brings the one-time wife of late-night TV titan Johnny Carson back to life in the FX series.
She was really his last friend. She was with him when he died.
Truman taught me total acceptance because I loved him so much that everything he did was wonderful, even when it wasn't. You know, I just loved him with all my heart. I met him at a dinner party in New York just as In Cold Blood was being published. And I was fascinated by this very tiny, odd, brilliant person. You know, it just mesmerized me. I was stunned. And after dinner, he kind of collected me and took me off into a corner and says, now, tell me all about yourself. Well, the thing about it was we found out that we had both been abandoned as children. And that formed a very tight bond and a very loyal friendship because we knew we would never abandon each other. And that kind of carried us for the next 20 years. We were kind of joined at the hip because I learned something really valuable from Truman. I learned about friendship and the importance of strong friendships, the supportive, nourishing, non-judgmental friendships. Boy, they stick and they get you through anything. Truman was the most flamboyant person I've ever met in my life, and fun and delicious and delightful to be with.
I think of you as a commentator.
A commentator?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I don't think of
Truman, when Johnny and I separated and I moved out to California from New York, Truman picked a house out for me. So as soon as I signed the papers and bought it, guess what? He sold his house in Palm Springs, moved all of his furniture, and moved in with me saying, why should I worry about upkeep and housekeeper when you have one? He wrote Some of the Dogs Bark there. He wrote some of Answered Prayers there. Some short stories, some interviews. I mean, he wrote all the way to the last day of his life.
Do welcome, please, Truman Capote, radio.
The minute he went on television, he was known. How could you miss that voice?
Yeah.
How could you miss that animation and that brilliance?
And this is what I think happens with people who have a certain sort of genius. It doesn't matter what their appearance is, whether they're homely or beautiful or not beautiful or whatever it is. It's some kind of extraordinary rapport that they make with themselves with the camera.
Joanne, it must be hard to part with all of this.
Not really. You know, Truman was very cute. When he moved in with me and started bringing baccarat that was given to him by Babe Paley and gifts from the Black and White Ball, I said to him, how can you part with all of this? And he said, my dear, they're just things. And they will outlive us many, many, many years and many generations. We are only the caretakers of it for a short while. These are Truman's hearts. I mean, this is his heart because he loved animals with all of his heart. And I think he loved animals better than people because animals treated him a lot better than some people did, kind of in the last years of his life. You know, a lot of people, there was a lot of gossip after he died, that he died of a drug overdose or for alcohol, and neither one was found in his system. He actually died from phlebitis. It was a blood clot that broke loose, and probably liver disease too, because he did drink a lot. But look at how well he looked.
Yeah.
He's a happy man.
Now, this makes me laugh at first because I see this cheesy Woolworth's lined notebook, which cost $1.20.
But it's my favorite piece in the whole collection.
It is, and when we open it,
this is a short story that Truman was writing for my birthday, and he started this the day before he died, and he was working on this the night before he died. And the thing that is very special about this It's all hand written, 17 pages. The story is Remembering Willa Cather. It's Truman's memory of meeting her. And what makes this special to me is, as you know, a lot of critics said Truman couldn't write anymore. This is Truman at his best, exactly hours before he passed. Truman was a pack rat. I have things in his closet that he had cleaned when he was living in Brooklyn Heights, that he just moved from his apartment to mine. In '71, when Johnny and I separated, Truman was still at the height of his game. But little by little by little, by '79, I think everybody knows he wrote La Côte Basque, which turned a lot of people off, and he lost a lot of his friends. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So he understood.
Truman Capote is our great protector, our best friend. We tell him everything, even the awful things we've all done to each other.
This is the tuxedo he wore for the party of the century. Truman really didn't care that much about clothes, but he always looked very dapper.
I guess this is the essence of Truman Capote, a very stylish seersucker suit.
On the cover of Capote.
Oh my.
And if you'll notice, this is what he wore. This is one of his favorite outfits. And this is his favorite outfit for Studio 54. And it still has a VIP drink ticket in the pocket.
Now, this is a very stylish hat, great hat band, but what's the story with this?
Truman always ventilated his hats. He would always take a piece out of the crown, and he said that was for ventilation. Here it is before it had been ventilated.
But they keep saying Jill St. John has an IQ of 145 or something, and you know.
Yeah, she's a rotten actress.
Truman was a very prompt person, as was Johnny. And the first time I invited Truman for dinner, there's a clock outside of UN Plaza, a digital clock on the IBM building, and Johnny was watching it, and as soon as it turned 7 o'clock, Truman rang the doorbell, and Johnny appreciated that so much. He had a carte blanche, open invitation for dinner. This is very special because this is how Truman carried it in his breast pocket. This is a silver, sterling silver pen that Truman wrote his last manuscript with, and he always just carried it in his breast pocket. As you see, I wear very small, little pieces of jewelry. When I moved out from New York in 1971, Truman and I went to a lot of parties in Bel-Air and Beverly Hills and benefits and openings. And the wattage of gems from the Hollywood ladies just kind of were dazzling and outshone my little pieces. So for my birthday that year, Truman put this on my breakfast tray with a little note saying, every woman should have one important piece of jewelry. So this was Truman's gift to me, and it is a brown diamond. And you will not find another brown diamond in the world. I don't wear it anymore because Truman's not here to enjoy it with.
It's hard to picture what it would have been like to know him and to know him on an intimate basis for such a long time.
He was very special. He was one of the kindest, most gentlest people I ever knew.